Part of what makes you an entrepreneur is the ability to have ideas and make them a reality in the world. That's what makes you who you are. That's what helped you build your business in the first place. It's strange then that we should feel anxiety around all these ideas that we have and the fact that we're not able to do all of them. If you have a big, long to-do list of ideas that you want to create in the world, things that you want to do for your business, and you are not even 10% of the way through that to-do list, that is normal. That's what makes you an entrepreneur. So why is it that we feel anxiety around that? Why is it that that to-do list stresses us out? If you feel that way, it's completely normal. And one of the things that I think we have to do is normalize the fact that as entrepreneurs, we have these feelings which are uncomfortable and that we don't want to talk about. But if we learn to actually harness these feelings, well, this is what can not only become a superpower in your own productivity, but make you a much happier person and a more effective entrepreneur in the first place. If you relate to this in any way, this video is for you. My name is Ollie Richards. I'm the founder of StoryLearning.com. It's a large online education business. I'm also a mentor and advisor to other online education entrepreneurs. And one of the things that's been most striking in the last couple of years that I've heard from people that I know, I work with, friends, is the fact that anxiety is a very real thing. I've noticed that there are people who tend to suffer from anxiety and people who don't. And I'm not a psychologist. I can't explain what this is. But what I can say, beyond a shadow of a doubt, is that even the most successful entrepreneurs experience huge amounts of anxiety, especially when it relates to all the things that they want to create in the world. This big, long to-do list of things that you know is never going to get done. The emails that want to be written, the funnels that want to be optimized, the new products that want to be built. If you have this list of stuff that you want to get through, that is what makes you an entrepreneur in the first place. And let me tell you something, if you are regularly crossing off everything on your to-do list and building all the things that you want to build in the world, that's not normal. There's probably something you're not doing quite right, because it is normal for us. It's what makes us who we are to have these ideas. And the idea that we can just do all of them is not right. And yet, still, the fact that we look at this big long list of stuff that we haven't done, this causes us anxiety. And if you don't learn to contend with this in some way, then it can really make your day-to-day experience of life as an entrepreneur, quite difficult. And it's made far worse by the fact that on a societal level, we don't talk about this stuff. Certainly in the hustle culture world that you see everywhere on the internet, this is like, imagine bringing this stuff up. You get told to suppress those feelings and just crush it because, there's stuff to be done, there's stuff to be built. There's no time for feelings. It's my experience that the vast majority of people don't agree with this at all. It all sounds good on social media, but what most people want is a nice life with plenty of money that they can use to look after their family and do cool things. They don't need hundreds of millions in the bank. They certainly don't need to be working 16-hour days. They just want to live a cool life on their terms. And a huge part of that is being able to understand the feelings and emotions that we have that interact with our work. The fact of the matter is, you will go to your grave with a big, long to-do list of stuff that hasn't been done. You know this is true. You know that the more days and weeks go by, the longer your to-do list gets. And every now and again, we just scrap the whole thing. We do a complete reboot and say, that idea that I had back in 2017, I think we can say for sure that I'm not going to do it now. So let's just jettison it from the list. We go through this regular cleansing process. We have ideas. They sit on the list for so long. We eventually jettison them. But the fact of the matter is that fewer than 1% of the ideas that we have that make it onto that list in the first place are actually ever going to get done. And when you think about the fact that that's never going to change, you accept that you will go to your grave with a to-do list of stuff that hasn't been done. This is the kind of reality check that you need to come back to the present moment and say, right, well, given that, what does that mean for me in the here and now? This all makes logical sense, right, when you think of it in this way, and yet we still have anxiety. Anxiety still sits there with us. And why is that? Well, anxiety comes from a fear of neglect. It comes from a fear that you are neglecting the very thing that made you successful in the first place. Think of it like this. Your drive, your ability to have ideas, to take action, to make stuff is what made you successful in the first place. However long you've been going for, whether it's a year or 5 years or 10 years, it's this drive that made you successful. You've been constantly vigilant. You've been constantly building stuff. You've been constantly doing more. And so for the unconscious brain, the very thought of actually switching that off and saying, hey, I'm not going to act on these ideas. I'm going to have these ideas. I'm going to let them sit there and I'm not going to do anything about it. That is the same as saying that I'm going to throw away the thing that made me successful in the first place. And so even though you're not consciously thinking about it, you have a defense mechanism that's trying to protect you. And the way it's trying to protect you is by keeping you always on, always doing more. Because if you're vigilant, if you're doing more, then at least you are going to maintain the level of success that you've already built. These mechanisms that we have inside us are the same things that are hardwired into humans that kept us safe from lions on the Serengeti and stuff like that. Except in the modern day, our equivalent of the saber-toothed tiger is it's money, it's finance, because that is the thing that keeps us alive. It's the money that allows us to live our life. And so our nervous systems in the modern day are hardwired to protect us by making sure that we don't stop doing the stuff that gave us the life that we have today in the first place. And so in order to start to contend with this, we've got to bring it from the unconscious into the conscious. And we can exercise a level of control over this by rational thought and some kind of conditioning that helps us understand that it's okay if there is stuff that's not done. So fundamentally, our anxiety comes from the fact that we fear neglecting the thing that made us successful in the first place. What that means in concrete terms is doing all the stuff that we possibly can to build the business that we have. And so one of the most powerful things that we can do as entrepreneurs is start to accept the fact that there is a lack of control necessary here. It is necessary to live with and sit with a to-do list that is not completed. And the lack of the completed state of that to-do list is okay. And it has to be okay if we're going to learn to actually live life and enjoy life. And so when you have these feelings of stress or anxiety around this very kind of general idea of, oh shit, things are not happening as fast as I want them to be, then what I encourage you to do is to sit with that feeling and ask, where does it come from? What is it trying to tell you? And what you'll very quickly realize is that there is nothing concrete there at all. It's just how we've conditioned ourselves. We're on the hamster wheel of building this thing, making this thing, and we're just scared of stopping, because stopping can mean doom in our subconscious minds. Now, if you haven't thought much about this before, then the only thing that you're going to experience on a very visceral level is that anxiety. And when you feel anxious, you know all about it. It's all encompassing. It swallows you up. And you almost certainly don't want to talk about it with other people, because you will feel that it's weird. You will feel that there's something wrong with you. You'll feel that you're somehow defective, and maybe you're not even up to the task of being an entrepreneur in the first place. But what I want to say to you very, very clearly is, it is not weird, it is not strange, it is completely normal, and it's what makes you human. And although we are not sitting in the same room right now, if we were, then what I would do is look you squarely in the eyes and say, I feel this too, and I understand what you're going through. It is completely normal, and it's what makes you human. And so on a practical level, how do we actually deal with this? If we've got the big long to-do list, how do we know what to do? Do we just pick random shit and get on with it? No, we don't. Rule number one of dealing with this volume of stuff is to get things out of your head and onto paper. As long as ideas are swimming around in your head, they are very intangible. They're very slippery. Your thoughts will change from one second to the next. And so we get it out of our head onto paper. I like to do this on a Sunday as my kind of Sunday planning process. I will simply write one massive long to-do list of all the things that I could do, that I should do, that someone told me to do, whatever. Get it all down on paper. And then go through a regular process of simply asking, what is the one thing, you've heard this from the book, right? What's the one thing that I could do this week that would move the needle so far forward that it would make everything else almost irrelevant? And there is always a one thing within that. You're probably going to try this and you'll find 2, 3, 4 things, but there's one thing. And that one thing is going to be different for different businesses depending on what stage you're at. If you're at an early business, maybe you're at a low 6-figure range, then that one thing is probably going to involve doing more of something that has worked for you and made you successful in the first place. If you're at a mid-high 6-figure range, then most likely that one thing is going to be professionalizing. It's going to be taking the stuff that you've already done and just doing it better so that it's more effective. Businesses in a low 7-figure range, the one thing may actually be doing less. It might be figuring out, right, what is the stuff that we have to cut such that we simplify the business and it is then able to scale, so that we're trying to scale simplicity rather than complexity. Whatever stage you're at, whatever you're feeling, there is one thing, a next right thing that you can do that will make everything else better. And if you can do this effectively, then you will start to see that this general underlying feeling of anxiety will drop, and you will start to feel in control, because you will start to appreciate your ability to focus on one thing and move things forward, and really then see the needle move far faster than it would do if you were trying to do a million different things. This is a lesson that is fundamental, but we have to learn and relearn and keep relearning for our whole lives. But I think it's our ability to have the presence of mind to get things out of our head onto paper and then make the big decisions about what that next right thing is, and then be content with focusing on just that one thing, fully in the knowledge that this is the right thing for us to be focusing on. It's our ability to do this and to do it with a calm presence of mind that really is the secret to not only growing your business and moving it forward, but also to becoming the best happiest, most present and fulfilled version of you. You know, in general, it really is this ability to calmly but deliberately simplify that is the key to growing your business. And if you found this video useful, then you will definitely enjoy this video where I show you the 3 big levers that you can pull to grow your business at any one time. Check it out. It's going to give you some ideas for what to do next.